But let's address what's happening with autos. Bharat Madan, the Group CFO at Escorts, joins us on the show right now. Mr. Madan, hi, morning. You've been reporting healthy
Morning.
volume numbers both in domestic as well as in the exports front, and with record high monsoon of above 25 years pan-India. How is it that you see demand from, for tractors in particular, pan out from here onwards?
Well, I think the month of October has gone really well. I think it's the record delivery retail which happened, I think, because the festive season coming in into this month. So a lot of preponement of demand compared to last year that happened this month. So I think everybody in the auto industry also, I'm sure, I think everybody is seeing that sort of strong momentum on the retail side. Though, say on the tractor side and the rural market, we've seen good sentiments on the ground with the very extensive good rainfall which has been well distributed this time. So we hope the next two crop season should really go well. So we are banking a lot really in the growth picking up now, I think, in the next few months. So even though I think the first half hasn't really gone well, I think overall from the industry perspective, it continues to be in the double-digit degrowth right now in the first 7 months of the year. But we expect the pickup will happen now, and in the next 4-5 months we should be able to make up some of it. And on a full year basis, we still show some small degrowth, single-digit degrowth. I think things should look better than where we were to so far.
Do you think you'll fare better than the industry then, Mr. Madan? Because analysts are factoring in mid-single-digit degrowth overall, and you just shared your outlook for the rest of the year. How confident are you given the current demand scenario?
No, I think numbers will pick up now because one of the major reasons for degrowth was in the southern market. I think the major issue was on that's a major area which is irrigation is really totally dependent on rains for the agriculture sector. So the rains have been pretty good in the south season also. So the region which is showing 29-30% sort of degrowth, it will bound to recover now and then the winter rains and then the Rabi crop season. So we're sure I think the pickup will happen in that market too. Industry will see a revival in the next 4-5 months. And also I think let's not forget in the last quarter there was a very low base for the industry. So now the pickup will happen. So that will also play out well. So we think next 2-3 quarters should look well, I think, before we look at the next monsoon coming in. So overall things should be looking positive from the rural perspective.
You have to account for what has happened to the agriculture sector or what has happened to crops because of extended monsoons. Do you think that could have an impact on agriculture demand, tractor demand, and whatever recovery we've seen in the month of September and October, that could get challenged purely because of extended monsoon?
Well, I think, like I said, overall the recovery in the demand has been there. So we're not really looking at a major growth happening to the kind of growth we've seen in the last 3 years or so, which is double-digit sort of growth, the factor. So in the current market scenario, when a flat growth in the numbers, looking at the top last 3 years of good growth numbers happening in the industry, especially mostly on the peak of the industry or now. So in a flat number, I think in this market will probably be really good for the industry, which is what we are seeing really happening. So in the last 2 months, festive the retail have grown 10-15% for the industry. But I think since last year the season was extended till November. So I have to really wait for the November month to be over and see how the overall retail season really pans out. Which in a way looks like it will be more like flattish sort of number, I think, for the retail too. But even flat, like I said, in this industry looks pretty good compared to where we were 6 months ago.
Sure. What's the likely impact on margins, Mr. Madan? Given the kind of outlook you have on growth and the kind of market share you're aiming for, do you see any impact on margins?
No, I think in the first 6 months, most of the corrections on the inventory side have happened. So I think we also had taken some drastic cuts on both on the sales side and production side. Both we've seen in the production last quarter was, I think, way below the sales degrowth was. I think we cut down the production by 90%. And the first 6 months, the production was down 24%, even though the sales has been down only 7-8%. So that correction has already happened. So we expect only the recovery in margin should happen in the next 6 months now, I think, from where we were and compared to whatever we reported so far in the 6 months. So we expect, I think, now the production sale number will be more or less aligned. So we'll have better operating leverage come into play in the next 6 months of this fiscal.
You had earlier, Mr. Madan, indicated that slowdown in the second quarter is expected to be less severe versus what you saw in first quarter. Are you disappointed in that sense with the Q2 performance, given that the operational performance has actually weakened on a sequential basis?
No, sir, we are still bullish on the second half because we said the second half will be better than the H1. The first 5 months, Delhi was the main culprit where the degrowth was pretty steep and basically coming with the major correction happening on the channel inventory side. But September we saw the recovery happening because the festive season was setting on. So it's only the industry degrowth only about 5% compared to 15% degrowth happening in the first 5 months. So same, I think 5% degrowth has been there in the industry in October numbers too. So we'll look at, I think even in the H2 numbers we look at even in a 5% sort of degrowth scenario or a flattish industry, still I think on a full year basis the industry will still go down by about 5 to 6%. But it still looks better than compared to where we were, like I said, for the first 6 months.
What is your understanding of where the inventory levels of the tractor business are? Because what we have is the wholesale data. The retail data is very different. What is your understanding of the supply chain?
So I can talk about our Escorts numbers. So I think in our channel inventory is less than 4 weeks now, which has been in the range of 3.5 to 4 weeks always. And even in our own stock, it's been less than 2 weeks now. I think after the retail season has gone in October. So which is what I said, because most of the correction on the inventory side, both on the channel front and with the own inventory, the kind of production cut the company has taken, I think most of the correction is now all done. So we don't expect any more correction they required now, both at the channel end or at the company level. So going forward, that's why we expect, I think the numbers will look better now compared to where they were for 6 months.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Madan, on those numbers. Let's take a very quick break. We'll be back with more on the other side.